Chapter 3. When looking at Zhou Yunsheng, Ning Wangshu's whole body was stiff, ready to use his short legs to escape any time. But the other party was very careful to avoid him, just picking up the palette and brushes by his side, then turning around to paint. No other action. Ning Wangshu was quietly relieved. He shuffled to Zhou Yunsheng's side, turning up his small head to look at the canvas with gleaming eyes. Zhou Yunsheng had completely lost sight of the little thing at his feet. He had completely inherited Wei Xian's fanatical love of painting, his brush constantly moving. Wei Xian was an expert in modern style, direct painting, which was drawing an outline directly on the canvas, then slowly coloring it. But Zhou Yunsheng was an expert in the more ancient transparent painting technique, which was multi-level depiction without adding white, but only using paint diluted by a medium. The next layer of paint must be added after the previous layer has dried. And it can be said that before he even starts, his mind has already completed the whole painting. Because each layer of color was thinner, the lower layer of color could be faintly revealed, blending into subtle hues with the upper layer of color. So this painting method required more sophisticated skills and an even more accurate grasp and judgment of coloration harmony. Wei Xian's painting used a large area of warm hues and was already completely dry. Zhou Yunsheng added blue, purple, and green, so that the warm hues gradually became cold, and lastly used the resin to glaze, making it appear that there were layers upon layers of gray. After about half an hour, the original scene of a brocade-like garden of dazzling blossoming flowers had become a forest immersed in starlight. The twinkling stars filling the sky gave out a weak light. It seemed like as long as you reached out, you would be able to pick them with your fingers. Placed there, it didn't look like a painting. Rather, it was the entrance to another world, beautifully real, yet beautifully illusory. Zhou Yunsheng backed up a few steps, sizing up his handiwork, when a faint exclamation of wonder entered his ears. At this, he pulled his mind away from the painting and looked down at the little guy by his feet. The day became night, sunshine became starlight, the garden became a forest. Even if Ning Wangsu was still too small to know what was aesthetic, he was overwhelmed by Xiao Shu's superb painting technique. Realizing that he had disturbed his Xiao Shu, Ning Wangshu quickly covered his mouth with little chubby hands, big eyes full of panic. Zhou Yunsheng merely glanced at him, then turned back, continuing to size up the painting. He picked up the brush to make minor adjustments. Ning Wangsu was relieved, seeing that his Xiao Shu didn't plan to drive him out. His courage slowly grew, and his small hands explored the brushes on the small stool. Reach out and pull back, reach out and pull back. After struggling for a long time, he finally took a brush in his hand. There were a few pieces of white cloth spread on the ground, along with an oil barrel for cleaning the brushes. Ning Wangshu quickly dipped the brushes in a little poppy oil. Squatting on the ground, he began smearing paint on the white cloth. He tried to draw a few stars, but found that the painting didn't shine like Xiao Shu's. With a serious face, he tried to paint the sun. He was happily playing, not noticing that Zhou Yunsheng had already completed the final modification and was bent over staring at him. "No, you can't play with this." The young man's voice was pleasant, like a trickle of water, but the strength that took away the painting brush wasn't weak. Ning Wangshu froze in fright, his small, rosy little face instantly paling. Like a small quail, he ran to a corner and curled up. Zhou Yunsheng didn't comfort him. He put the paintbrushes and oil barrel on the windowsill where the little guy couldn't reach, then walked out of the studio. Ning Wangshu covered his little face and started to cry, drenching the white cloth spread on the ground. He looked very pitiful. But not long after, the boy came back in, holding a box of watercolor pens and a stack of white paper. He stooped to hand the items to the little guy and said, "Use this to paint. Paint and poppy oil contain toxins. Small baby can't touch it. You'll get sick." Seeing the little guy still in tears, refusing to look up and listen to him, Zhou Yunsheng didn't continue persuading him. He laid down the watercolor pens and white paper, then turned away to continue painting. He himself was slightly autistic, saying so much was already considered a miracle. It seemed that his Xiaoshu didn't despise him. Ning Wangshu's distressed mood was greatly soothed. He rubbed his eyes and quietly raised his head. He was about to reach out to take the watercolor pens when the young man suddenly turned towards him. He jumped in fright and sunk into himself, hugging his head like a small turtle. Zhou Yunsheng was almost amused by the little guy, but because of the monitors, he had to strive to restrain himself. He took a deep few breaths and maintained a serious expression as he removed a white shirt hanging on the aisle, then helped the little guy get dressed. He said in a low voice, "Obviously put it on. Your clothes don't get dirty." Ning Wangshu stopped struggling, letting his Xiaoshu help him put on the clothes. The shirt was very big. The sleeves were rolled up and up to barely expose a pair of tender little hands. The hem was also hanging down, just enough to cover the trousers. Zhou Yunsheng helped him organize the lapel, stiffly rubbed his head, then turned to continue painting. Ning Wangshu also touched his forehead, feeling the nearly dissipated warmth. His heart felt a little sweet. He didn't smile, but his eyes were unprecedentedly bright. Picking up the brush, he started doodling like Xiaoshu's paintings. A dropped needle could be heard in the quiet studio. Uncle and nephew painted side by side. Their figures seemed so harmonious enough to warm the soul. Time unknowingly passed till around 4 in the afternoon, when Wang Ma carried a basket filled with vegetables slowly into the house. There was another maid at home, so she didn't need to constantly take care of things. Moreover, she was getting older and too impatient to look after children. Every day after Ning Xinyan left, she excused herself to buy vegetables, carrying out a basket, but actually she runs to the nearby park and plays cards with the other maids. Before, she avoided being lazy in front of Xiao Xingfang, but now that she was profiting from Xiao Xingfang, she acted more and more unscrupulous. Xiao Xingfang's days also didn't match Ning Xinyan's perception. He thought that when she wasn't out volunteering, she was home taking care of her stepson. But in fact, she also goes out as soon as he leaves, either going shopping or playing cards or to the beauty salon, etc. Anyways, Ning Xinyan was very busy and never came home. Even if he came back, it would be very late, so she and Wang Ma were at the same mind. As long as they came back before 6 o'clock, everything was fine. Today was Sunday. She had the excuse of going to the orphanage to help, so she could come back even later. Wang Ma asked the maid, learning that Xiao Xingfang hadn't come back yet. Then she went upstairs to find Ning Wangshu in the studio. Ning Wangshu heard Wang Ma's shouts. His face was scared white, and his small body couldn't stop shaking. Zhou Yunsheng patted the little head to pacify him, then helped him remove the shirt and wash his hands. The former Wei Xian had actually noticed Ning Wangshu's strangeness. He'd once heard Ning Wangshu's heartbreaking sobs and summoned up the courage to run over to inquire. Wang Ma gave him the excuse that the child had a decayed tooth, so he was crying from the unbearable pain. But Wei Xian still had doubts when he heard this. After choking for a long time until his face turned very red, he managed to spit out a really, but under Wang Ma's glare, he had no choice but to retreat. When he left, Wang Ma closed the door and continued beating Ning Wangshu. He hadn't even entered her eyes. Now, Zhou Yuncheng also didn't have Wang Ma in his eyes. He gently hugged the little guy, patiently patting his back in comfort. When Wang Ma came to the door to ask for the child, not only did he not hand him over, he also shut the door firmly in her face, causing Wang Ma to almost bump her nose crooked. Bah, little bastard, who do you think you are? Sooner or later I'll have Xinyan drive you out. Wang Ma spit at the door. Zhou Yunsheng turned a deaf ear to the abuse outside the door, letting go of the little guy and continuing to paint. Only Xiaoshu could see his fear and despair. Only Xiaoshu wouldn't hand him over to Wang Ma. Only Xiaoshu would so resolutely protect him. Although it was just a closed door, it actually separated him from all the dangers. Ning Wangshu was only 3 years old, but he already had self-awareness. This moment produced indelible attachment to Zhou Yunsheng, but he was also vaguely aware that saying these words in front of his father would produce a negative effect for Xiaoshu. He was very happy, but at the same time a little sad, carefully hugging his Xiaoshu's thigh. Zhou Yunsheng tried to shake him off in rejection, but the movement was very gentle. Ning Wangshu wasn't afraid this time. He perseveringly held on tight. Zhou Yunsheng couldn't get rid of the small tail, so he had no choice but to helplessly let him hug. If he moved to the left, the little guy also staggered to the left. If he moved to the right, he also stumbled to the right, like a whoopee girl. Extremely hard to tear off, the scene was very comical. Uncle and nephew played happily. Wang Ma was also happy to not have to bother, making the maid hurriedly cook something for her to eat. Who would foresee that before even 5:30 arrived, there was the sound of a car engine outside? Ning Xinyan had unexpectedly come back. Remembering the uncle and nephew getting along harmoniously in the study, Wang Ma was anxious. She quickly rushed upstairs, calling out in a harsh but quiet voice, "Wei Xiyan, quickly send out the baby. Mr. Ning came back. If you let him see you together with the baby, he'll kick you out." As Ning Xinyan showed a more and more cold and disgusted attitude, the original Wei Xiyan really didn't dare stay too close to Ning Wangshu. Zhou Yunsheng, although he knew the truth, he also didn't intend to expose Wang Ma's trickery. He opened the door and brought out the frightened Ning Wangshu. Ning Wangshu's forehead was rubbed by his Xiaoshu. His deep fear had been reduced, plus he understood that as long as his father came back, Wang Ma wouldn't hit him, so he reluctantly walked over. Wang Ma impatiently dragged the child to her side. Regardless of if he could keep up, she half dragged and half pulled him down the stairs. She whispered a threat. "You're not allowed to follow that bastard Weishi anymore. Otherwise, I'll peel your skin." Xiaoshu is not a bastard. Ning Wangshu, who hadn't spoken in a long time, suddenly let out a clear and incomparable retort. Wang Ma was stunned for a few seconds, then her expression twisted. She reached out and forcefully grabbed Ning Wangshu's ear. Ning Wangshu proficiently shrunk his shoulders and covered his head with his hands, silently enduring. Fortunately, Ning Xinyan was anxious to see his son and was already hastily running upstairs. Wang Ma pulled back and dragged the child into her arms while putting on a smile. She muttered between gritted teeth, "Not only is Wei Xinyan a bastard, you're also a bastard. If you don't obediently listen to me, I'll throw you into the river to drown. Your dad has a new wife. He'll have many more children in the future. He won't care about you at all." Ning Wangshu was frightened. He shut his eyes despairingly, tears plopping down.